celebrate. They have done it.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Evermore YouTube channel. What an unbelievable new intro video banged up by Mark there. If you're watching along, if you're listening on the audio, go watch it on YouTube. Absolutely class. We're still basking in the glory of Newcastle United's cup winning or League Cup winning. I can't remember what it was. League winning next month. League Cup winning victory against Liverpool at Wembley yesterday. I'm delirious. I wasn't even drinking. My God, I only had 1 or 2 beers in the house, as you did, Mark. Is it sunk in yet, mate? Can you still understand the Newcastle or League Cup champions?
I think when you've spent the best part of 43 and a half years having seen a club not win anything, and to do it the way that they did it is, I think I used the word surreal again. It still really hasn't sunk into that point where you go, well, it's just it is a momentum shift, I think, and that's it. I think it's just we've kind of waited so long for Newcastle to get to that point, and they've been close. And you mentioned it in the aftermath earlier about always being the bridesmaid. No more, and the first of many. I think definitely.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of love for the video there, Mark John saying a great new video, bringing tears to my eyes for the 15th time in the last 24 hours. Absolutely. We are live tonight. Guys, as always, jump in the comments. And obviously, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, help the channel grow. It's amazing doing this kind of thing, Mark, at a time when Newcastle United have made history. You know, back when Newcastle last won a trophy, if you had to talk about the tune win something, you'd probably have to send a fucking telegram or something, probably, or a carrier pigeon with it tied to its foot to get there. It was that long ago, do you know what I mean? Or a smoke signal. But I mean, to be able to come on in the modern day world, you know, and do this kind of a thing and interact with all these amazing, you know, supporters of this club in the comments as well is absolutely class. I've consumed content as well today, driving around in the day job, listening to, you know, a few different pods here and there. And, you know, by the way, the Craig Hope video, I love Craig Hope stuff anyway. I know, you know, sometimes Craig can split opinion, but everybody's seen the clip, and I can assure you that neither me and Mark have any gear. So I just want to assure everybody in the comments that we don't have any gear. That was possibly one of the funniest things I've seen on YouTube for ages. It was just Craig's complete straight face while the kid did it as well. It was comedy gold. Could have been written by Gervais, that made it was absolutely fucking brilliant.
It was I think it's the comic response. I think it was so deadpan, the response, and so well done. I mean, fair play to you, Craig, because you've seen others that kick off at things like that and stuff, and he played it off so well. So well done.
He's got a great sense of humor. We met Craig, obviously, the True Faith talking not too long ago. He's a top bloke. Next time anyone sees Craig blatantly, the question is going to go, Craig, got any gear? That's just going to be the new saying, I think, everywhere it goes.
Yeah, definitely the new one that will run
everywhere it goes, to be fair, which is amazing. But yeah, it's absolutely class. It really is. You know, we've got the link out there. We'll get a few on in a minute to talk about your experiences. We've already got somebody in the waiting room ready, so we'll get to that in a second. But just everything I've seen today as well. What's been great today is the mainstream. The mainstream have handled it well, I feel. You know, with the exception of Simon Jordan, who did actually come out, if you saw that, and rectified his own channel and said that he didn't slag off Newcastle for overplaying the celebrations. Well, I never listened to it because I'd rather have somebody fart in my ears than listen to TalkSport most of the time because they talk absolute bollocks. But most of the mainstream media, I think, give us our props because I think as a football fan, you can't help but to just sit back and go, do you know what? That's amazing. They deserve that. 70 years of hurt. You know, surely as somebody with a fucking heart and a soul, you can't just take the piss out of Newcastle fans for getting too excited, can you? Surely not.
The aim as a football player, you want to see your team win. You know, that's it. You want them to have success. You want those glory moments. We live as football fans for those moments. That's exactly what we want. And Newcastle fans have been starved for that for so long. What that means to the area, to the city, to the fans, to, you know, the businesses around the club itself, the owners, the players, just everybody connected with the club. That means so much to everybody. And I don't give a shit how much you celebrate, how emotional you get. Honestly, I saw some of the comments aimed back at Bruno for being emotional after, and just no, that's the moments they live for. When you're invested so much of your time and so much of your effort into the club, whether you were a fan, a manager, a coach, a player, whatever, it's those moments you're allowed to release. It's like when people get on the goal celebration police. No, fuck off. I'm sorry. But that is a monumental achievement for Newcastle to have come from where they were 3.5 years ago to now being a second cup final, the first win of a cup final in a domestic in 70 years. Was it 50, 56 for the trophy before that?
For the first cup, yeah.
So no, you can celebrate as much as you want because you've absolutely earned it. Just for the absolute heartache that's gone on in previous ones and the amount of crap that has gone on over the last 15 years. And before that, with the ups and downs of the way things have gone and being the nearly man for so long, just enjoy it. Enjoy it as much as you absolutely want. And get your calendar for the 29th as well, because Newcastle will be absolutely rocking.
It will be. And somebody who has enjoyed it, I'm sure, will be our first guest tonight. We've got Chippers coming in there from the weight room. Mark, if you want to bring Chippers in, I'll try there. Chippers, how are you, mate? Are you surviving? Have you recovered?
I'm really tired. I drank yesterday, and that was the first time in 15 months I drank.
Wow.
Well,
it's a good excuse, Chippers, to be fair. It's a good excuse to have it.
And I was up at 7:30 this morning. I was at the gym for 9 o'clock, so I don't know if that was a good idea. But I'm
trying to sweat it out.
I'll be going to bed shortly anyways. Yeah. I don't know how to react because we've never been in this situation before.
It is. It's weird. You're kind of a bit stuck, aren't you? Because it's almost like you plan in your head, don't you? You play in your head. I'm going to be like this when Newcastle win a cup, and then they win a cup, and you just kind of freeze, don't you? And you think, what do I do?
Yeah, I was at the pub in Blythe yesterday, funnily enough, and I was watching it there, and I was just stood there like this, thinking, what do I do? Hands on my head, no England of celebrating or anything. I just didn't know what I was supposed to do. So, again, I'm pretty speechless. That's where I'm speechless. I just don't know what to say, do you?
It's brilliant, mate. It's brilliant. I mean, I just think, like I say, anyone, if you know a little bit about the region, you know a little bit about Newcastle fans, you can say the words. I mean, Christ almighty, even David Beckham put a post out, didn't he, saying how happy he was for Newcastle United, which I thought was a class act as well. But I mean, I don't think anybody, unless you've spent time in this region, you're from this region, you understand this club and what it means, I don't think anybody can even put it into words or quantify what yesterday meant to us as fans. I was watching the True Geordie before. He's a friend of our channel. He's dropped us some lovely messages before. He's talking about the memories of his mum taking to the game, and it just evokes all this emotion, Chippers, doesn't it? And just all of that comes rushing to the surface in a moment like that. You think about the people who aren't there with you anymore, your friends, your family, who what would they have given to have seen that moment? And it's amazing, mate. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It was 3 years from my granddad last week, so it was kind of like, I remember him saying before he went, it was like, Newcastle will never win anything with a decent until they get a decent defense, and you just think, we're gone. But he obviously he would have been 99 now, so he was around when they won everything in the 50s and that, so he knew what it was like to see a team win something, and it's just. You can't put in the words, can you? You really can't, because you don't. We just didn't. I didn't expect it. I was fine all day yesterday because I just said, right, Liverpool are going to beat you. I just thought I'm expecting defeat. We're resigned to it, so I'll not be disappointed or anything. But we completely outplayed them.
Did you feel there was a shift at the beginning, though? I know other people have said this from the way. And I think the TV picked up on this, and the way that Newcastle were warming up, there was a determination, and I think that fed across to everybody else. And I put a comment in the chat yesterday just before the game start. I think it was George in the comment. George, you were in there, so remind me if it was you. And I responded to him and just said, have faith, because I'd gone all the way at the lead up thinking Liverpool are going to win this and know what had happened in the week. But my brain shifted in the 10 or 15 minutes before the game went. I actually think Newcastle are going to win this at this point, because I felt there was a change in attitude from everybody at that point. I don't know. What did you feel just before?
I thought we did all right, and then we grew into the game and we took control of the game, and I thought, we've got to score here. We've got to score, because they're going to have a spell in the second half, and they didn't. Then they had the ball, but they didn't do anything with it, and the only two chances they had was the goal and the Curtis Jones chance. Apart from that, Nick Pope had nothing to do. I couldn't believe how much control we had over the game for large parts of it. I was expecting them second half, after we scored, to come out like a train and really pin we back, but they didn't. It's we went up the other end and scored, and I just think they ran out. People will say it'll be Tuesday night, but we played Monday night against West Ham and we had a tough game. So I think it's a case of, that they possibly have been found out, but it's a case of, I think Eddie Howe got his tactics spot on, and I've been critical of Eddie Howe this season, and I know people have a go at us for saying that, but I thought I was entitled to it. But now he got it right yesterday, and he fully deserved the trophy. So I just thought yesterday, the way things were panned out, I mean, I had someone sitting next to us who's a Man U fan, and he was like, "You've won the trophy, you've won the trophy." And this was a Man U fan. I'm thinking, we've only played 5 minutes of football and it's 0-0.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think the way fate panned out yesterday, it was bound to happen that we were going to win, and we deserved it. Nobody can't say we didn't. I mean, we had 17 shots to their goal. Who has 17 shots to Liverpool's goal?
That's just the thing. Where do you think the main place of game was won, Chip? As we were talking about this, I think on the post match as well. I think the way the left hand side nullified Salah, I think Liverpool totally ran out of ideas after that was cut off. Did you think that was the main bit, mate, as well, in terms of how we hammered back in?
I think if you look at the one player we missed at Liverpool was Joelinton. I think having him on that left side,
he was brilliant.
He was doubling up with Tino, wasn't he? And I know Salah, I think, was having Ramadan, so I was surprised he was playing, because he's probably not eating. So I was surprised he was playing for that reason. So yeah, I think that left hand side won us the game, because we got so much joy, because he didn't track back. He didn't help. We didn't help his right back out. Was it Quansah? He didn't help him out at all. So Quansah was always 2 against 1 with Barnes and Livramento attacking him, and so second goal came from that area of the pitch when Livramento and Barnes got away. So yeah, I think the left hand side was where we got the most joy.
Yeah. What do you think of Barnes, Chippers, in the game? Were you impressed with Barnes? Because me and Mark were saying he looked really lively, didn't he? I thought not just in the game, obviously in the final, but I think at West Ham he looked quite decent and all. Do you think he's had a bit of a kick up his arse in terms of getting the shit together?
I think he probably knows he's got to, because if he doesn't, then he knows in the summer he could well be one of those PSR scapegoats that has to be sold for money. I think if he wants to be part of a team that's going to be competing about things, he needs to pull his finger out, and he's given these chances, and he got an assist last week, and he's done all right yesterday, and he'll play after the international break, depending if he's fit. He'll play against Brentford, so he knows he's going to probably be playing that game, so he's probably a confidence player, where his confidence is good, and when his confidence is down, you don't want him on the pitch, because he's not interested. It might be harder for Gore to get back in the team if he keeps if he puts another performance in against Brentford, so just gotta wait and see. But I thought he did all right yesterday. I thought Murphy was nervous to start with. I was expecting Murphy to run at them a bit more, but he grew into the game and obviously got the assist for the second goal, so he can't complain about that.
No, I mean, just to touch, you were talking about Tino and the way that Salah. I mean, there's the stat I saw earlier on was Tino's stats where he's 100% duels won, 100% tackles won, 100% dribbles. I think he only had one or two, so we'll not look too far into that. But Mo Salah completely shut down. No shots on target, or no shots at all. One dribble. He was just anonymous. He only touched the ball 23 times yesterday, Mo Salah, and he, for their star man, that left-hand side of Newcastle did an unbelievable job on just completely shutting that route down. And those three combined, I think Tino, Barnes, and Joelinton were exceptional. I said that yesterday in the post match.
I thought they may
Absolutely.
have had. Oh, sorry. I thought they may have had more of a threat if they started Chiesa over Salah, but who knows?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? When you get games like that, like you say, you need your big players to stand up. Who for you, Chip, is off the top of your head? I mean, we gave man of the match to everybody. It might have been a bit of a on the fence fucking job, like, but we just said bollocks to it because they're all legends. Who stood out for you the most out of all the lads? Now we've had a bit of time to consume it and think about it. You know, who's the one player for you that really stood out?
And we'll give it a Dan Burn because
Big
he
Dan
headed
Burn.
everything and he missed nothing. He won every ball, and I even thought Fabian Schär's best game of the season yesterday. After all the season he's had, that was his best game of the season because he had the ball. He didn't do anything stupid. But I will give it a Dan Burn because he led by an example as a centre half yesterday, and he didn't lose a ball, he didn't lose a duel, he won every header, and he scored a goal. You can't complain about that.
He deserves that England colour. Mark, we talked about it. People have mentioned it a bit on social media today. The resurgence of Kieran Trippier, coming back to that was Trippier of 2-3 years ago. That performance, the positional sense, the shithousery, the barking at players. I love the bit the interview after the game when Thierry Henry asked him, "What did you think of Bruno fucking around with the ball?" And he said, "I was fuming." I thought that was brilliant because I don't know about you, Chip, as well. I was raging when Bruno did that. I was like, "What the fuck?"
I literally was shouting at the widescreen telly next to me, mate, obviously because on the screen. I was like, "What the fuck is he doing?" In the 94th minute, trying to Rabona, whatever he was doing, what's he doing? Just clear the ball.
That's ridiculous, that Brazil skill. But can Trippier continue this, Mark, towards the end of the season? And if he does he stay next season or does he still move on for you?
I think he probably he has to with Hall's injury gonna keep him out, isn't he? So he's gonna have to really step up. But look, I mean, we talked before about it. He looked like he couldn't keep up. But I think the way that they've set about the sort of defensive duties for him, where he's not expected to bomb forward, that I think was the biggest take. He's not going to be the focal point of Newcastle's attack, because if you go back a couple of seasons, everything came down that right hand side. It was all back to Trippier, and the way that he worked with Miggy would come back to Trippier. Trippier was the creation from that side. He's not needed to now. He can focus on his job, get forward when he can, but I think that will give him longevity in that regard if he's got less work to do, less ground to cover. But if you get 10 games now out of the rest of the season from Kieran Trippier doing exactly what he's done, yesterday, then maybe next season is the point in which he does move on. But you get another 10 games of an ultimate leader, because I think that's the biggest thing that he brings to that side is just his leadership qualities.
I fully agree. We've got a comment there from Skidmark and Steve Bruce's wife runs. I've seen a few of these. What a belter name. He said he sent King Eddie a pair of autographed wife runs as a mark of appreciation. Very good of you, Skidmark. I'll tell you what I did, actually. I'm going to give George a shout out for this. George said this in our post-match. I actually tagged North Tyneside Council in a post on X and said, can we rename King Edward's Bay King Edward Howe's Bay, just for a little bit anyway? But I don't know if they've replied. I haven't checked that. They probably won't, because they're probably miserable and they don't see the fun side of it. We've got a new member as well. Peter Snell's clicked that button, so thank you very much, Peter, for being a member. Quite a few got gifted membership by George's generosity. I think he was meant to be cooking the kids' tea, and he clicked 50 members instead. So thanks for that, George. Really appreciate you taking a little slide break from making the Bairns tea. But yeah, Chippers, I mean, another thing for this. So some of the lads have got a break. They've got over to Dubai. Some of the lads are at national duty, including Big Dan Burn. I saw that the clips of him going in with England, which I thought was mint. Him and Jordan Henderson sitting with each other, I thought was quite funny, actually. I was watching the TV and stuff like that as well. Do you think when the lads come back, do you think that this win can almost give them an adrenaline boost to really, really go for that Champions League spot for the run-in and really just be fueled with belief like we were a few seasons ago when we got top four, where we just go at teams and that belief is there, that intensity's back? Do you think this win can do that? Or do you think, now Europe's guaranteed, maybe there's less pressure on the shoulders, there might be a drop-off? What's your gut feeling with it, mate?
My gut feeling is if you can't get up for something after winning the club's first trophy and first domestic trophy in so many years, what will? We're in Europe next season, but we can have better. We can get we can get the best European football, which is the Champions League. So if you look at the way teams around were, nobody's standing out. There's no standout candidate. All the teams are drawing or losing that's around us. So we need to go on that run, which would 2 years ago we went 15 games unbeaten or something. There's no reason why we can't go the last 10 games unbeaten. You know, we haven't got FA Cup to worry about or other European commitments. We've just got 10 games. So Villa have got still in Champions League. Arsenal, not going to catch Arsenal, but Villa are still in the Champions League. You've still got teams in Europa League as well. I mean, you know, Villa have got
City is still in the FA Cup, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think City's still in the FA Cup.
So there's no reason why. I think Chelsea's still in it as well, the FA Cup.
I think possibly Mark, Chelsea's still in the FA Cup. It might be, I think.
No.
Did they go out?
Do you know what? I can't remember.
You're supposed to be the stat man, Mark. You're letting the side down here, mate.
Remember, no, they lost to Brighton. Of course they did. They lost to Brighton.
There you go. Of course they did. Lost to Brighton. I mean, Brighton are a dangerous side, but they are a bit flaky, as Chipper says. In and around that chase and pack, people do seem to be dropping points. And we've got some good winnable games in amongst that group of teams there, you know. And I think you're right, Chippers. I think this will just fill them full of confidence. You know, I did laugh because people have already talked. I've seen some tag tweets. I don't know if it's just people fishing, trying to wind us up. You know, Liverpool fans and Arsenal fans, you know, saying Thierry Henry's putting the groundwork for the Isak sale and signing. But what made me laugh was when they got Isak in the pre-match talk and he said, look, I can challenge for things here, right? He's already won a fucking trophy. He could end up playing for a team that wins more trophies at the end of the season than Arsenal and Man City. Sure as shit, Manchester United. So why would he want to leave Newcastle United, who are winning more trophies for these teams, mate?
We've won the same amount of trophies as Arsenal in the last 5 years, so...
There you go, mate. Perfect, mate. Perfect. We'll clip that just to wind up Arsenal Fan TV, Chippers, I think. We've got a super chat come in from Anthony Stafford there. Thank you very much for that, buddy. Should they clear out Dubravka's, Trippier's, Target's, Wilson's, and step up the quality? It's interesting, that one. I think Wilson's a big one, Mark, and when he come off the bench, I think I messaged you and said, fuck me, I think me and you could run quicker than that. You know, he actually looked like he had a bit of a belly as well, Wilson, which is not very Wilson-like, because he's normally chiseled out of fucking stone, isn't he? But he did look off the pace. I know he worked hard and he got in the corner and all that stuff, but he looked so off the pace. This is surely Wilson's last hurrah in a black-white shirt. This is his last season. He's got to be gone to something, surely.
I think so. I was surprised actually with running the game late. Would not maybe turn to Asula for that little bit of pace and to run into the corners. But to be honest with you, I think the experience of Wilson knowing when and where to run, to run the ball into the corner, it was just I think the right thing. And I think you're right. I think it's probably is sort of last hurrah. He'll get minutes before the end of the season, but I think realistically, when you look at the drop off, I think now for him, I think he's probably playing his last season.
He's got to be. He's still doing a job for a championship team or maybe a Premiership team.
In the chat as well.
What's that, Billy?
Looks like we've got a troll in the chat. No,
don't worry. We'll deal with that one in a minute. We'll get the super chat and then you give us your opinion on Wilson, Chippers. So we put the accelerator on. Thanks for the super chat, buddy. Van Dijk's reaction after Isak's goal confirms he's now a premium member of the Defenders Given Terrors by Alexander Isak Therapy Group. Yes, he gives them nightmares, mate. There's a growing WhatsApp group and he's now part of that. And I think he was part of it before, to be fair, Van Dijk. Saliba and Gabriel are in Branthwaite and who's the other? What's the fucker from Mickey Van de Ven in it from Spurs who has nightmares still doing the fucking spinneroonie from Booker T when he was on the deck at St James's Park.
Michael Keane as well, who's still spinning round right now from his.
You should like superimpose them into some kind of poster, mate. We'll whack that up on the socials. I think Alexander Isak had my life group on the WhatsApp group. But Chippers, on Wilson, what's your stance on him? I know you've been a bit critical of Wilson before in terms of his lack of availability. Do you think that's it for Wilson this season? You think he's done?
It's got to be. If we keep giving new contracts to players who can't offer anything, tells the gain in that other than wasting a wage?
It's not progress, is it really? Let's be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to take us forward. And there's good players as well out there, like Jonathan David, that we could go and get a hold of. And I know people are saying, I just want to play second fiddle to Isak. But if you're in Europe as well and you've got the cups, there's a lot of games to play. You can interchange, because the problem I think with Isak, Mark, as well, is we haven't managed Isak's fitness very well over the last 2.5 seasons. And he's had knocks and he's had strains. And if you have a good striker like David, for example, you can interchange with, that'll just help Isak, be fitter for longer, surely, won't it?
Yeah, and play as a second striker. Forget David's not, and he's a cracking forward. He's a cracking centre forward, but can play a second sort of striker role as well. He's perfectly comfortable playing a little bit deeper and can play wider as well. He can do all of that. And if you wanted to change up and play, different games with different setups, we know that he doesn't particularly like doing that, but you can. And a player like Jonathan David is high quality. He's proved it this season again in the Champions League, scoring goals against the best. And for a player like that to come up on a free transfer, there will be a queue. There will be a long queue for his services. Definitely. But for a Premier League side with now some cup pedigree and potentially Champions League football to look forward to as well, then why not? Why can't you be at the front of that queue?
Exactly. And Chippers, just before we let you go, have a lie down, mate. Open bus parade, are you getting yourself to the tune, mate, on the 29th? Are you going to be there?
I'm 2 till 10 on that day, so I wish.
Oh, nightmare, mate. Well, we're planning to be there, and I think we'll be filming as well, mate. So we'll whack some stuff up on the channel, and hopefully you can absorb it all, mate, when we're there. But we are buzzing, looking forward to that. But we'll let you crack on, mate, and go have a little lie down and try and recharge the batteries, Chippers.
I'll be in the chat anyway, so.
Top man. Really appreciate it. Top man. Cheers, Chippers. Thanks, buddy. See you later, pal. Brilliant. Good to have Chippers on there. Got a comment there from Sophie B. I did see this earlier as well, that Yasser said that apparently Newcastle won't consider any offers for his favourite player, Alexander Isak. And I think that's right, Mark. I mean, that's a real statement that, Newcastle United are building something special here with the likes of Isak, with the likes of Bruno, with the likes of Botman. Why would you want to break that up? That's the spine of the team. And Sophie says there about Yasser, if he's getting more involved in the day-to-day running of the club now, and he's seeing the potential, he's at Wembley, he's watched what's happened there, he's looked at all that and just thought, you know what, we had 3 or 4 players into the next year, we could be here every season for finals. We could be winning more cups. This could be more regular for Newcastle United. And I mean, my gut feeling's always been no Champions League, struggling to keep a hold of Isak. With the back of that cup win and the club's stance on not selling him, do you think Isak will be here regardless if we get Champions League or not next season?
Well, I think European football absolutely helps. Yeah. Look at he's still relatively young, isn't he? He's not 19 anymore or anything like that. But he's got enough time ahead of him to maybe just go, do you know what? There is something here, like Bruno, where we talked about potentially that move on, and would he want to move on the previous season? There's enough of a draw, I think, for any of those players to go, look, I'm young enough. I've still got 7 years, 8 years at the very top of the game. And Isak's game is, yes, he's quick, but it's not all about blistering pace with him. So you're not looking at that falling apart like other players have done, the likes of Michael Owen, for example, who, it's all, his game is purely based on speed. So once that goes, it's gone. Isak he's good as a more of an all-round striker. Yes, he's quick, but he's also very, very skillful. He moves very, very well, and not at pace. He can get into those areas that strikers should be in, but he can then finish, and that's more of his game. And he could look at it and go, do you know what? This is building to something special. He could be one of those legendary strikers at Newcastle, and the mantle that Shearer's, that cap that Shearer's left that weighs heavy on so many, and from coming before the likes of Milburn and things, that striker berth, that number 9, that I know he's not number 9, but you get my point, that that starting striker position does weigh heavy on some, and some do fall apart and don't live up to the hype. He's done everything that you can ask of him, and if he can see the path into, even with he finished 6th in Europa League football, and I think that there's very much the angle that he will stay and think, that's it. I home for now, and there is something great building. If Newcastle can go, if they talk to him and can, a new contract, I know was being talked about, but if they can sell the fact that they're going to go out in the summer window and build that side to compete for the league and to get into the Champions League or stay in the Champions League, and build the side around him, around Sandro, fingers crossed around Botman as well to return. That's a huge selling point.
Absolutely. But Botman concerns me. I mean, that's what George saying there, but George Boyle in the comments saying about Isak's muscle injuries. Now, that is a concern, because he does pull up quite a bit, and he's built like a fucking drain cleaner, isn't he, to be fair, but he moves like a lightning bolt. That's probably the best way to describe Alexander Isak. But I wouldn't want him to bulk up too much. Henry was similar. He was very slight when he came to the Premier League, and he did bulk up, and he didn't lose that speed. I wouldn't want Isak to potentially lose that speed, but the Botman thing worries me probably more than anything, because listen, Dan Burn's been imperious, and he's probably having the best season he's arguably ever had in his career, probably, with you look at what he's done.
I think so.
In terms of England and the goal that he scored on Sunday and everything else. But Burn's 33, Cher's 34, Trips is 34. Yes, we've got Hall and Tino, who are 19 and 21 or whatever they are. Botman is amazing, as a defender. His presence, the way he reads the game, his quality on the ball, his ability in the air, tackling, everything. He's everything you want in a centre half. And when fit, I actually do think he's arguably one of the best centre halves in the league. But the fitness thing is a real concern. It really is. I know he got a little bit arsey when people questioned that, but it is a big question. It is a big concern. Some people stick their fingers in their ears when you talk about the comparisons to Woodgate. And it's not hyperbole. It's just there's been a lot of players like Botman who, for whatever reason, had an injury, and it just kept reoccurring and they couldn't get quite right. You go right back to Paul McGrath, who was brilliant at Aston Villa, couldn't walk through the fucking week. Ledley King at Spurs, Woodgate, and I don't want Botman to be that player. But, George is saying there, and I agree, a forward, centre-back, right midfield, and we're golden. And look at the key areas of that team, Mark. And I don't want to take away from what the lads have done, because listen, they've just won the club the first trophy in 70 years.
Yeah, they won't sell them all. Start again.
And, there's me talking about replacements, right? But with football, you can't stand still. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep moving. You've got to keep evolving. And I couldn't help but look at that team yesterday. And regardless of the result and the magnitude of it and everything else, there was bits of that game. I looked at Jacob Murphy and I just thought, like, what you doing there? Like, I think he tried a back heel to Bruno at one point. Even Bruno threw his hands up. Bruno, of all people, who lost the ball doing a fucking 360 turn, threw his hands up and said, "What you doing?" And it's easy passes and quick passes that Murphy sometimes just tunes out of the game on, and that's where that quality comes in. And you look at that front three yesterday, and if, for argument's sake, they go out and buy someone like Mbeumo in the summer, and then you've got a front three of Isak, Gordon, and Mbeumo. You've got a midfield three of Joe Linton, Sandro, and Guimaraes, and then you've got a back four. Out of the whole team structure, it's the defence that needs the patching up, I feel. Mark, it's the centre-half area, it's the goalkeeper even as well. Where would you spend the money? If the money's there to be spent, would you do that? Would you start at the back? Because that midfield and forward line probably is all right, needs a little tweak here and there, I think. Yeah,
I think definitely the patchwork bit, I think, at the moment is the back, because you've got two aging centre-backs and they were phenomenal yesterday, and I cannot take anything away from their performance. Both of them were exceptional. The two young full-backs, and I think they're the future, proving to be the future of that position. But then you've got to look behind them. Trippier is coming to the end. By the time that next season will roll round, he will be 35. And we've seen a decline in him overall. Yes, go back and say he was tremendous again yesterday, and I think you get that for the rest of the season. But you've got to look next, and I think that there is definite work to be done in that area. Starting right centre back to kind of come in and work with behind and take over from Fabian Schär. Probably a left centre back at some point to come and give that depth in that area, or somebody who can cover both sides for a little bit of depth, and a left back as well to come and work alongside and behind Lewis Hall.
Do you know who I'd like to go to for that? Just to cut in there a minute. The lad from Ipswich, the Geordie lad, Davies. I'd quite like to bring him and Hall to have that left side, locked in a little bit, because obviously they're going to go down. No disrespect, Ipswich, they're probably going to go down.
That's no shock.
Yes, spoiler alert. Yeah, but you've got Davies, who I think is a really good player. He's a Geordie lad as well. He would walk back up here. Obviously Liam Delap's there as well as a centre forward, who everyone's going to be going for. But I think Davies would be really good at bringing at left back. Then do you have two young left backs? Should you have an experienced one and then Lewis Hall? What you doing?
I like Leif Davies a lot. He's got a lot to learn. There were moments, and I think Newcastle exposed him earlier in the season where he does get drawn really high, and his positional sense in terms of when to go, when not to go. It needs some work in that regard. But he's a very, very good attacking fullback. It's difficult because I think he's going to be one of those players that's going to want to play week in, week out. I think he probably needs that. I don't think that a player like that will come and sit behind Lewis Hall.
Yeah.
I think
for his hometown club, though. For his hometown club,
maybe. But then, what do you do? Where does there then become a problem? Where a little bit like I guess in terms of the goalkeeper situation that we've been looking at with Pope and Dubravka, one comes in, the other one's not happy. Is that going to work?
Well, it's a good question, that. Just on what Graham's saying there, and I'll bring in the keepers bit for you as well, because we are going to do a few more rumour hazards guys coming through. There's a lot of players being linked, so we'll bash a few of them up in the next week or so. But Graham's saying, will they try and get marquee signings like an Mbeumo, or with the continuing building types they've been successful with? Trafford is still one that won't go away. And talking about the goalkeeping situation, Dubravka signed this new contract. Hasn't really played since he signed it, really, in many ways. Pope was obviously preferred to him. Did well. The reflex save was incredible, as was said in the post-match. Is Nick Pope still the number one moving forward, Mark? What do you think the goal is, to bring Trafford in and slowly bleed him into being that number one? And then does Dubravka go in the summer?
I think Dubravka goes in the summer. I think that's
Craig Hope was element of that, wasn't he? When we met him?
I think he will move on. I'm not entirely sure he'll be particularly happy with the way that things have gone since he decided to stay. We talked about this a few weeks ago, so I'm not going to go over all ground. But I think when the summer comes, I think he will go. I think you'll see the others probably go too. I don't think Vlachodimos will hang around for too long, whether he goes permanently or gets to put out on loan for a season before he moves on permanently. Trafford coming in, yes, but he's going to come in realistically as the number one, or to fight with Pope as number one. I'm not sure Pope will be pleased to play second fiddle, but he could be used as a make-weight to go back the other way. But I'm not entirely sure, having suggested that the other week as well, not entirely sure he fits in with the way that Burnley want to operate these days either. So he may need to look elsewhere. Maybe follow the route of other older goalkeepers that have come into that point, that are old school, and the likes of Joe Hart, and move north of the border, perhaps.
Possibly. There's two big clubs there you could go play for, absolutely. Chappie said we could get some freebies that's out of contract. That's a fair show. I think there is some good freebies. Daniel is saying that he doesn't think Mbeumo fits into our system regardless of his goals, etc. I'd sooner Kubo for very similar money. He's a very good player as well, absolutely. And his work rate is incredible. I think Mbeumo does work hard, Mark. We said this when we did rumour has it with him. He does track back very hard. He's very much got that in his locker. But I mean, Kubo's a great player that as well. His work rate is exceptional. But there is top players out there for that position. I mean, there's a real affection for Jacob Murphy. And I understand why. I totally understand why. And he's been brilliant towards the back end of the season. He's a huge reason as to why we won that cup yesterday. There is no doubt about it. His assist record is ridiculous at the minute. He's on the same wavelength as Alexander Isak and everything else. But I just feel that for us to evolve to the next level, where we're not trying to do things like miracles, every season, that Murphy, I agree with what George is saying here, have Murphy to come off the bench and run at tired legs, have him as an impact sub. That's a great way to use Murphy, I think. And he says he's better than Almiron ever was. I totally agree, because he's got more end product mark. That's what Murphy should be. And I think, with all due respect, obviously Murphy wants to play, but Murphy will be happy to be that player here, wouldn't he? He'd be happy to be part of the squad. He wouldn't necessarily demand to start, because he's not that type of lad, is he, really?
No, and I think he probably wants to play as much as possible, but I think even he has to realise that he's in sort of the prime of his career at 30. His game time's gonna start to drop off, and as Newcastle grow, the players like Murphy will become squad players. It's a natural progression. They either become squad players or they move on. That's the way that it's gonna have to happen as the squad progresses. But I would think somebody like Murphy that is ingrained in the club, I think now, from where he's from and his history, I think, yes, he'll want to be part of it, absolutely, and I could see him in being happy to fight for his place. Maybe that will bring the best out of him as well. And when he does get it, because at the moment you've got to kind of look at it, and there's not an awful lot of competition for him with Mickey gone. There's nobody else to go down that route.
He's still putting it in. You've got to give it to the lad. Yeah. He's still putting it in. There's no doubt about it. Speaking of putting it in, Ty has been generous tonight. He's gifted 5 of them more memberships. Thank you so much, Ty. Really appreciate that, mate. And whoever's the lucky members of the membership, I've got a very good prize actually to give away for the members, which we will maybe bang in the community chat in a couple of days. And it's going to be a follow-up to a really good prize as well. So I'm not going to spoil it too much, but the whole design of the prize, and there may be potentially a very special one coming soon as well. But we'll stick the one that we have in the community chat, and we'll let you know when we're going to run a video to see who the winner is. We'll do a little prize draw on that one as well at some point as well. But we've got a lot of stuff going on outside of Evermore this week, haven't we, Mark? So, well, so one of us has in particular. So.
Well, yes, I have got a particularly mental couple of weeks coming up. So we'll leave it at that. But
it might be me doing that one. It might be me.
I'll do what I can. I wanted to just touch on, you were talking about the comment before about the number of free available free transfers this season, and there are an awful lot of players that fit positional needs as well. I think
that's interesting.
When you look at the likes of Jonathan David, we've already covered. Leroy Sané, I know he's 29, but still an exceptional player. He's out of contract. Jonathan Tah is also out of contract for centre back. Tyreek Mitchell, left back. So his cover, he's 25. Would he want to come and play second fiddle? Maybe not. But again, there's that quality. Walker Peters at right back. Obviously,
we've covered that before, absolutely. Yeah.
Southampton are obviously going down. I mean, no spoiler alert there.
Jesus Christ, they're going down quicker than the Titanic, them lot, mate.
The likes of Angel Gomez as well at Lille, who's out of contract, to come in and give that midfield a bit of depth, especially if somebody like Sean Longstaff was to move on in the summer. You've got Ola Aina from Forest is out of contract, and he's had a really good season. Again, he's probably one that's going to want first-team football and not sit behind somebody else. But could he work well for a couple of years with Tino as Tino sort of progresses as well? So there are plenty there. I think Tariq Lamptey's out of contract too. Another player.
Graham's got 3 for you, mate. Graham's got 3 for you straight away.
I was getting to them. So there are plenty. Apparently, Cristiano Ronaldo is out of contract in the summer as well.
Mate. Could you imagine signing him? That's a good shout from Daniel. Chris Rigg. I do like him. He's a very, very good player. Man.
Can you imagine the
Mackhams don't go up? If they don't go up, there'll be loads of clubs in for him. I think they've already talked about Joe Bellingham. I think Spurs are in for
Chelsea. I like Joe as well. Yeah,
I like Joe Bellingham as a player, right? But don't you feel like his surname is what's drawing them in, as opposed to his ability as a player?
Go back and watch him.
He's good. He's good, Mark. But Riggs a better player.
I think potential wise, I think Chris Rigg will be far better. But if you go back and watch the last 3 months of Joe, he has been very, 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 very good. He does drift in and out of games at times, but he is very, very good. He's not his brother.
No.
But I think, do you know what, Isaac? I think he could probably go the same route as Jude. Head to somewhere like Dortmund and go and learn somewhere like that, because they do exceptionally well. I think we've talked about this before, but go and work for a club that develops youth like that, not a Chelsea, because you'll get swamped.
Yeah. By the way, speaking about going to Dortmund, little mini out of tune, which we haven't got a slide for. I don't know if you saw Aston Villa's win midweek in the Champions League, and Jadon Sancho said, "Can I play for Aston Villa?" To which point the Aston Villa club went, "No." The official Instagram thing.
I did see that. I did think I was trying to find whatever it was, and I don't know whether he's faked that, but if not, that was funny.
And that was if that's not fake, that was quite funny, to be fair. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, again, let's go back to the game, because we're trying to replace the cup winning squad here, I think, to be fair. But it's just a natural conversation. But I'll tell you what was amazing. I'll tell you what was amazing as well. You probably didn't see it. Well, you probably did see it by now, but Elliot Anderson in the crowd.
Yes.
As well. Just a Geordie. It hurts me seeing Elliot Anderson not in that squad playing and lifting that trophy and having a medal around his neck, because I still can't understand how the fuck we were in a position where we let go of this kid, because he's such a good player. But seeing him in the crowd, I think it was his dad he was with, I think he was celebrating. And the crowd was singing the Geordie Marathon, and he was singing it with them. I just thought that is fucking amazing. Like, even though he obviously plays for Nottingham Forest, that's chasing Champions League, he's having a great season. He's in the England under-21 squad. To see him in the crowd again, I was tinged with sadness, because I think A, we shouldn't have sold him anyway. But B, why the fuck are we not going to buy a back clause in for this kid? Because he'd walk back to Newcastle.
I buyback clause was never going to happen with either of the ones that went, purely because there was no time to get any agreement and anything like that. The money had to come in, and that was that. It's shit. But yeah, I mean that kind of thing is when you see, especially a current player able to go in and be like current player that's playing for another side, just go and enjoy it.
It's a good shot by Daniel. If they do fall off, he might very well come back potentially.
It's good to see his progress as well, because I think he's played really well. I still think he needs to add more to his game. He needs more end product. He needs more goals. He needs more assists. But those are coming. And the more he plays, the more he gets to play with the likes of Gibbs White, especially in. With Wood and Elanga and those around him, I think that will come. He'll become a more of a goal scorer midfielder. But yeah, maybe he could. If Forest do drop off, because I still think a little bit like the previous couple of seasons, where some of those big guns have been found out a little bit in terms of their squad depth and the way that they've handled their issues. The Man U, the Spurs, Arsenal to a point, Chelsea, City this season. There's been an opening for Newcastle one season, for Villa last season, for Forest this season. There is that opening in there for somebody else to come in. Can they then keep it up? I think we've seen from this season, or from last season, and then this season particularly, the two that got into that in Newcastle and Villa have dropped away a bit, not massively, but there's been enough there to let the next one in. So yeah, I can see him. Could he come back and be part of that squad again? Yeah, I think there's quality there. We've waited so long to see it, but I think we're starting to see it.
Yeah, and a better player. I mean, it was a good comment by Daniel saying he might come back in tandem with Joe Linton, kind of fading out a little bit, I suppose. From past his best. But Joe Linton, God, bloody hell, I did the aftermath. There were so many things I wanted to say I forgot to say. I think I said it in the post-match, or I think I did, because I felt like an out-of-body experience that. I felt like I was floating above my own body talking about that game. But Joe Linton in that game, I'm loving this. The Liverpool fans have been really good, to be fair, I must say. But this whole, kind of accusation that he assaulted Harvey Elliott, little curly Sue, by grabbing him. To be fair, listen, he should have got a yellow card for it. The referee didn't do anything right. But I've seen people hoid out of Whitley Bay back in the day by Dorman, way harsher than that, down fucking marble steps. So Harvey Elliott wasn't gonna be on death's door with it. But the best bit I saw, some of the clips, I think there was the thing that stands out for me with Joe Linton is when he finds this ridiculous extra 3 or 4 yards of speed. I think the catch up with Kwanzaa, or was it Gravenberch who's trying to burst through, and he hooks the ball back in a challenge and wins it back. Cheering the crowd with tackles, and the way he was bringing the ball down, the way he was playing, just Joe Linton there looked every inch a Brazilian international Champions League midfielder in that game. He was absolutely imperious. Bruno was class on the ball. Tonali was just, again, just breaking the play and just making the right decisions and using speed as well to break and get away from players. That clip you sent me before we came on, Van Dijk falling on his arse, trying to catch him. Yeah, was Kwanzaa says consistent. Thanks, consistent. But I mean, some of the stuff Joe Linton was doing, it shows you how important, how integral, as Chip has just said before, how integral that man is to the way we play. He sets the tone for aggression in that team. He sets the bar to say, right, guys, I'm up here. You fucking come and join us. And you can almost see Bruno and Tonali grow alongside him and go, hey, he's up for this. We need to be up for this. And I think I'd scared to think how the game would have went if he hadn't have been there, Mark. That's how important he was on the day, I think.
Yeah, and I think I touched on this in the post-match yesterday as well. Look at what has happened to Liverpool over the last few weeks and the way that PSG manhandled them at times. And Joe Linton was key to that. I think he must have covered, it's cliche, I know, but he must have covered every single blade of grass yesterday, because it felt like at any point there was any problems, he was there, he was in the way, he was getting himself stuck in. The grab on Harvey Elliott was, I mean, they were once calling for a red card. I mean, all he did was pull him back and throw. It's not like he picked him up and threw him to the floor. He just pulled him back. I mean, yellow card at worst. I agree. You said he should have got booked. I think he should have done too. But Joe Linton at his absolute pomp is what we saw yesterday. He was magnificent, and that's the all-purpose battling box-to-box midfielder, the one that will set the tone, as you said, to get stuck in, to rattle the cages of the opposition midfield. And they didn't stand a chance up against him yesterday, because none of them can combat his size and strength. Not one of them has the ability to play. McAllister's about 3 feet tall. He's not going to get stuck into a one-on-one fight with Joe Linton. Gravenberch probably the only one that's got a little bit more about him in terms of his size. Szoboszlai is not going to get stuck into that central midfielder either.
No. So he was moaning like fuck the whole game, Szoboszlai, when he was doing his best like Versace aftershave model kind of pout when he just whinging like fuck with his little hairband on all the time. You're just thinking, shut up, Szoboszlai, honestly. But yeah, just that midfield, somebody said to me again, they are brilliant. They are brilliant. When they're at it, the three of them, they've been inconsistent. We have said that, they haven't clicked as much as we would have liked, but when they click, when those three click, I'm not sure there's a better midfield in the league. I generally don't think it. For the three players alongside each other, I generally don't think there's a better midfield in the league. Liverpool's probably the closest, and we totally bossed them. Totally bossed them.
I mean, if you look at it, yes, I think on their absolute date, and we haven't seen enough of those, I think, this season from three. Obviously, with Joe Linton being injured for some of it as well, and Bruno's been off the boil at times too. But on their day, that midfield gives you everything. It gives you ability on the ball. It gives you the combativeness in Bruno and in Joe Linton. it gives you the ability to get forward and score goals. The passing, the creativity from Sandro and from Bruno. It has everything there, and I agree. I think on their day, those three are above anything else in the league at the moment. But that's the problem. I think it's getting them. If they can be on their day every single week, and you get that performance every single week, I don't think there's an argument. But yeah, they were. For me, overall yesterday, those three were a huge difference maker in their performance, in completely nullifying any of the threat through midfield. It's just, yeah, I having Joe Linton back fully fit at that point, and he just seemed to get more and more fit during the game. He just seemed to get. Every time you thought he might slow down, and will there be a point because he's not played quite so much over recent months? Will he start to run out of steam? He just seemed to get stronger.
I'm starting to think he was sent back from the future by Skynet to fucking annihilate Harvey Barnes like John Connor or something like that. That's not Harvey Barnes, so Harvey Elliott, not Harvey Barnes. Too many Harveys, fuck me. Harvey Elliott, pot noodle hairs, they've called him in the comments. But I mean, that was, I think I put on our X, didn't I? Fuck around and find out. You know what I mean? The size of the bloke. I mean, fuck me. Arnie Slot must have knew when he was bringing on fucking Shirley Temple that if you're going to put him up against a monster like that, he's going to get absolutely fucking poleaxed, man, in one way or the other. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely unbelievable. But honestly, it's incredible. So a comment there from Stephen. I've just seen come up. Sorry, guys. Saying sorry I had to miss tonight's show, guys. Unfortunately. I have other things yesterday. I've been in bed most of the day feeling like death, feel utterly disorientated, but hey, it was worth it. I hope you enjoyed it, Stephen, when you were at the game. So I saw death and seen that. I thought the worst there, mate. Fucking hell, I pulled myself back there. I was getting ready to put the old somber music on, mate. But I'm glad it's just self-induced by the sound of it. So yeah, you get well soon, mate. You get well soon. But honestly, that performance, the players who aren't away at national break, but how good our squad is now. Most of that squad is away in international break. Do you know what I mean? Most of it is away in international duty. Let's just hope, fucking hell, touch wood, that nothing happens to the star players. That's the last thing we need as well. But let's talk a little bit about this teaser, Mark, this open bus parade. I did a video. I was a bit annoyed about it at the time when I said, why aren't they going to do anything? And I'm not saying they watched my video and said, oh, he's right. Let's do an open bus parade. But
you can thank Chris, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll get there and they'll be like Dan Burns' brother will be in front of me and I won't be able to see round the front at all.
When they put the image of Isaac on the tower off the Thames, there'll be one of those just of Chris saying thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the open bus tour, guys. Absolutely. But yeah, I think, I'm really excited to go. Obviously, we couldn't be at Wembley. Couldn't get there. I'm so excited just to go to the city and feel that buzz. Could you imagine what's going to be like, man? Oh my God, it's going to be. Obviously, when they release the times and stuff. St James's Park was heaving on Sunday night. Because people were leaving the stack, going to the ground. Getting the cans out, all that stuff. You imagine what this open bus parade is going to be like in the middle of Newcastle. Yeah. It's going to be absolutely incredible, man.
I was talking to one of the guys at work today, and they were saying they've been at the arena with the family for the fan zone or by the arena, and it basically when everybody was sort of kicking out from there, they just walked up and went to the stadium because it just felt like the sort of the pilgrimage at that point is that's where you had to go. Newcastle, I said it earlier, is going to be. It's going to be about as busy as I think we'll have ever seen.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? If you go back to the 90s with the climbing the lampposts on the big market, and there will be people on all sorts. Look, it will be as big a feel-good time as there can possibly be. It's just, I can't wait to see what it's like.
Oh, absolutely. I think it is actually the 29th, I think, to be fair. Choppy's saying, what time does it start? I don't think that's been announced yet. We'll try and find out. They haven't got a time on there, have they?
All they've done is if you look on the website, I'm just going to
Nice,
try
George.
and...
George has changed his avatar to me. He's like, by the way, we will be making sure we wear trousers that can't be pulled down on that day. And just a comment on that, by the way, that was a twat's trick. That I thought that was well out of order. By the way, what that lad did to Adam Pearson. I'm not a prude. I love a bit of banter, but that's well out of order. That man. It's a shit move. That one.
I think that is a dickhead's move. I'm sorry, but you're not 4 years old anymore. That kind of shit doesn't wash, and you might think it's banter. And yeah, we love a bit of banter, we love a bit of crack, but it's beyond that.
Not that shit.
That's the website. So save the date, 29th of March. So there is no more information other than that just at the moment.
No.
So
I
think it's going to be a case of keep your eyes peeled on the official site for more. I did get I think there was a message that I saw from somebody earlier on that basically said that the Coppers had been told that all their leave had been cancelled for the 29th. So we kind of knew something was coming earlier on.
Seeing some of the comments there that George said back in '74 when we got battered, it was jam packed as well. To be fair, I think there'll be easily 100,000 people in the town, easily round about that number. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable. John is saying they didn't have a chance when they were pumped like that. The lads were winning every battle. Class to watch. Respect Liverpool team. And touch class. You're right, John. You're absolutely right. Ty was saying what happened to Adam Pearson. I think he was waiting to do an interview. Ty on the TV by the looks of it, and someone was filming, and his mate went and pulled Adam's pants down. I mean, Adam laughed it off. To be fair, he pulled them up quick, and he laughed it off on social media and stuff. Which fair play to him for that. But I thought that was a little bit out of order. To be fair, Chipper says he got kegged. I mean, that lad's lucky it was Adam Pearson. If it had been somebody else, he might have got cracked in the fucking teeth by somebody. Can you imagine saying I missed out on Wembley because I pulled some kid's pants down, he turned around and broke my fucking jaw in 3 places? That wouldn't have been funny then, would it, to be fair? But you never know who you're pissing around with.
I am not a violent person, but he may have had a different reaction from me. I have to be honest with you.
Absolutely, we can't pull your pants down, mate. That thing would make a shadow over the fucking Thames. I'm only joking.
Dear me!
I got you. I knew I was going to get you laughing. Older angry Graham Newby saying, I heard there was a big panic at the club today. People screaming, running around, bumping into each other. All on account they were looking for the trophy cabinet key. Superb, mate, superb. We keg Liverpool, says David. That's acceptable, though, David. That's
acceptable humour. That we don't mind.
Very good. And Christopher's back there as well and said Liverpool had their pants pulled down as well. I was laughing. I said this to somebody earlier on about Mo Salah. If Mo Salah leaves and goes to Saudi Arabia this summer, and then Liverpool got big shoes to fill. And I said, wouldn't it be just fucking amazing if you went to one of the PIF clubs and then loaned them back to Newcastle for 6 months? Could you imagine the uproar? Could you imagine the bed wet and going on in the Premier League?
I said meltdown from Sunderland fans if Chris Rigg signed for Newcastle, but can you just the cartel would implode. I mean, they absolutely would implode if something like we talked about whether they would do something like that, and I think they've stayed away from all of that. But Jesus Christ, they would be going bananas.
We should do it just for the crack. Ty saying, Christ, I'm glad it wasn't me. I was wearing my Mrs. Knickers for the match. It was my match day ritual. He would have got an eyeful. Ty, he would have got an eyeful. But yeah, it was, to be fair. We're all laughing about it, but it was pretty wrong. Chipper says he goes commando. So
the chat's gone. The chat's gone, everybody.
The chat's gone. He would have been met with the cock and balls if he pulled Chipper's pants down on the day, I tell you. But what's this? We've got a comment there from Stephen said, never heard out about that either, Adam. Being in bed out of the loop, people getting very aggressive with that lad. He's braver than me to do what he does. People need to calm down. Yeah, to be fair, listen, if Adam P isn't your cup of tea, just walk past and ignore the lad. Don't give him any shit or abuse him physically, verbally. There's just no need for that, to be fair.
No, look, he's not everybody's cup of tea. We know that, but he enjoys what he does. He has a big following, and fair play to the lad for doing it. I'm not going to knock anybody for doing anything like it, because it takes an awful lot of guts to kind of put yourself out there. And if you don't like it, just leave him be. But just there are other ways to have a bit of crack, and it's just not. For me, that's just not it.
Yeah, there's just no need for it. John saying my last football team have all started tying their shorts tight to save The pants being pulled down trick because it was a regular occurrence after a win. Jesus Christ, John, we played boys club in North Tyneside. If you did that at one of our players, you would have been kicked in the neck probably. I think back when we played boys club football.
Think of a few that tried to do it anyway. So if you tried anything like that, and then you may not have been walking for a couple of weeks.
Oh yes, I think you'd be in big trouble. But I think it's just that childish world we live in. I went to a bloody black tie dinner years ago, man, with work, and there was a kid knocking bottles of beer and making them fizz, and I was like, "What are you doing? You fucking helmet? We're at black tie dinner. We're not in a fucking. It's not Falaraki, you knob." And just basically wind your neck in, you know what I mean? But
I didn't even do that when I went to Falaraki. So do you know what I mean? I'm not wasting beer. Fucking hell.
It's just there's just the problem. There's just too many fucking knobs in the world. Marcus is saying he met him at St Mary's a few years ago, and he's a nice kid. Adam P, fair play. But like I say, man, it wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't really agree with it, and a few people didn't either as well, But he took it well, so fair play to him. But I suppose closing off on this show, Mark, I just think that. It's an incredible achievement by the lads. Dan Burns smiling here away in the England camp, I think is mint. Surrounded by, players who won stuff as well. Harry Kane aside, only joking, Harry. Players who have won things.
Give him a couple of months.
Give him a couple of months, he'll be there. Surrounded by those really good players, that only will help Dan Burn be even more confident, you know what I mean, and come back to Newcastle even more, bring him confidence as a player as well. And I just think that, this just shows you how far the squad has come. There is changes that need to be made. I think I saw a comment before saying sentiment can't come into it in the summer. And I think that's right. I think these lads who have done this for us will always be legends. They'll never be shy for a pint in Newcastle. They'll be at Tokens in 25 years' time talking about how they won the cup that night and first time in 70 years. Longstaff will have a belly and knee hair. And he'd be talking about how he was on the bench that night. And, he'd be on the bench that night. Mind you might have hair. I've seen his father's got hair, so it might be all right. But 25 years time, they'll all be doing talk-ins and stuff like that. Like Beresford. How good was Beresford, by the way?
Bez was class. I've given a lot of time for Bez.
We've been at talk-ins with Bez before, and Bez is aces. But Bez and Warren Barton, who've had on the show before as well, is an absolute legend. These lads will always be legends, no matter what happens, Mark.
Yeah, look, it's that the team that
Chippers has done Longstaff. That's even worse than being Chippers.
Oh man!
I think to be fair, Chippers, I'm not a million miles off as bad as me at the minute, mate. So I know I'm laughing at mate.
I know what the next thumbnail's going to have on it. No, look, I was going to say that the side that crossed got across the line, that was the first one, are always going to be that special group, aren't they? They're always going to be the ones that remember because they're the first ones to have done it for so long. So anybody that was involved in any part of this season, anyone that's played any part of the League Cup games or any of the games this season, they're going to be remembered forever. Their names are etched now into the history of the club, and they just. Yeah, doesn't matter which part of the squad, how much of it, they are just there. They're not going to, you said it, they're not going to want for a drink ever again in Newcastle because they're going to be looked after for the rest of time. Whether they go in the summer, whether they stay for longer, they will be loved for generations now.
Absolutely. As Marcus says there, forever heroes. I think that's a perfect way to end the summary of what those players did for this football club yesterday at Wembley, which is absolutely sensational. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning in tonight. Really enjoyed this one. Thank you, Chippers, for coming on. And don't be shy, guys. Next time we do this, click that link. Come on if you're able to do it. Have a brief chat with us about everything to do with Newcastle United. We'll be back with some rumour hazards, hopefully, during the week, spitting a few of those things out through the week as well. And then it's a national break, so we'll have a little bit of time away. Then we'll be back in the lead up to Newcastle United's next Premier League game. We've got a lot to play for in the race for the Champions League. But for now, let's bask in the glory of Newcastle United winning the League Cup, the Carabao Cup. I can't wait for the opened up bus parade. We will definitely be there. Try and bring you some content live as well from the party, for you guys who are overseas and you guys who can't make it. And we're buzzing and we can't wait for it. But thanks for watching, everyone. Keep it ever more. Like and subscribe. Have a belt there. Go rest up If you're still fucked from the weekend, you deserve it. And we'll see you later. Cheers.
Take care, guys. See you.